Yo, I did not think they were gonna top this game. Listen, I know it's a video game, you have more of a structure, but can we all admit that this game did a whole lot better at balancing multiple stories than this movie? Yeah, I'm comparing it to The Amazing Spider Man 2, and I don't feel bad. Man, this game was just so great, and the fact that they're gonna make another one to conclude the story, I'm just like, this is gonna be amazing. No pun intended, but damn, this is gonna go down as one of the greatest trilogies. I'm just hoping that the next game they take their time and they don't screw it up. Like, man, because this game was just top notch. We continue off where we left off with the first Spider-Man PS5 game and the Miles Morales one. This is the continuation of all of that, and they basically found a way to culminate everything. Now, if you did not play the Miles game, that's okay. You don't really need it, but it was like kind of like a bonus point. All you really need to know is like that Miles is a more established Spider-Man out there. With that said, basically the story continues where we left off, but this time we kind of get to see that Norman Osborn actually was the one who had the symbiote, and he passes it on to Harry, who was very sick at the time, and he ends up getting better because of it. Meanwhile, Peter Parker is trying to balance life, and he actually becomes Miles Morales' teacher, only to find out that there's a big old mission with the Sandman. We get that battle of Peter and Miles going at it against the Sandman. It's a really cool battle, and we get introduced to the arms, the robotic arms from the Iron Spider suit that we know and love from the comics. And this time we get it in this video game, which was awesome. And we managed to just show the life of Peter Parker, of how he is just tired of trying to balance life. He gets fired on his first day as a teacher. And yeah, he's still trying to find a way to balance life, have time for MJ, have time for everything. And then to top it off, we get Harry Osborn coming back in the picture. We have flashbacks of Harry and Peter as friends in high school, all the fun stuff that they did and what they're doing now. We love the dynamic. They did a great job at showing us that these are old friends. And then later Harry finds out that Peter is Spider-Man on his own. Then he puts together that Miles, the kid that he is teaching, is actually the other Spider-Man. Harry runs a company that is named after his mom and Aunt May, which was a very beautiful touch. And you could tell that Harry is a genuine, sympathetic guy, that he just wants to do good in this world, and he wants Peter to be out there. But then we get to see that Harry also wants more, and he wants to help out as another Spider-Man in this world. Now that he has his own suit, and you can say, but he basically has the symbiote. That's what's helping him live. In the middle of all of this, Kraven the Hunter is seeking out for one last hunt. That's right, we're doing the Kraven's Last Hunt storyline on this video game. And I have already touched on this in another video. You can go check it out. It's a brief video, but this time around we get to play as it. And I love this Kraven. I think they did a good job. And you know, he's not only taking on Spider-Man, he's actually taking on other iconic villains, from the Lizard to Scorpion. And then to fully cap it off, we reintroduce Mr. Negative, because this is gonna help Miles Morales kind of like find that balance and forgiveness that Peter didn't get to do when his uncle was killed, which was honestly a great take on it, because they managed to make this a Peter Parker story, and the Miles Morales story, because this game, after all, is called Spider-Man. Um, so we got to see both sides of the story. We get to kind of go in between two different story arcs from these two characters, and they did a phenomenal way of balancing everything. We get to see at one point when Miles gets kidnapped, he is forced to take on Mr. Negative in a duel from Kraven and his goons, you could say. And this is where we kind of get to see forgiveness from Miles. There's even a scene where Miles visits Jefferson Davis's tombstone, and they kind of show like a more heart to heart from Miles Morales. We even get the Prowler do some cameos here. I'm very like just invested in this world. Like this could have like the writing is just top notch. It's just amazing. Now the big thing is, how do we get from Peter as the symbiote Spider-Man? Well, in the middle of a mission, we literally get to see the end of Spider-Man. He is like near close to death. Kraven gets what he wants. He gets to kill off Peter Parker. Now, during the missions between Harry and Peter, the symbiote kind of gets attached to Peter Parker because he really likes him, because he has additional power, because he does have actual spider powers. And then they actually show the logo from the Agent Venom suit, which is awesome. When we think that we are seeing the end of Peter Parker, there's actually a scene where you get to play as MJ and you carry Peter Parker, and it's just Peter like mourning and like saying, "I'm sorry for everything that I've done." And like, don't be apologizing. It was a beautiful, heartwarming scene. I'm like, I can't believe a video game's making me cry. But anyways, we do get the symbiote. We get to fight a couple of Kraven's goons, because we have to in this game fight a bunch of goons. And basically we get the symbiote spider. And in the process of all of this, Harry is back to being sick. It kind of takes that Deadpool 2 aspect of like how Deadpool had that thing in the prison cell that locks his powers, and in the process he is also back with cancer. So it kind of reminded me of that. And because of it, Harry just needs the symbiote back. But in the process, Peter's getting really attached to it, and in the process, he really wants to kill Kraven. So much so that he just goes more ballistic, and you get to play as that. The suit does so much more, and because it does so much more, you yourself are very invested in being Peter Parker as the symbiote. And then Miles starts seeing that different turn on Peter Parker, and it's just not good. There is some levels where you play as MJ, but there's some, like I said in the last review of the video game series, she has a gun now. She can actually fight back. She does stuff. So MJ didn't bother me as much in this edition of the video game. If I would be honest, the worst part was probably the carnival scene, but it was cool to see like Tombstone working, kind of changing his life around. It was kind of ridiculous seeing Peter Parker just have his hands up at every ride that you played as. The carnival scene was whatever. While you do get one final battle with Kraven as Peter Parker, you get to see Miles Morales seeing the wrong in him, and this is where the Miles Morales electricity and invisibility powers come into play, and which is why it was important, because it was like, how is Miles Morales going to beat Peter Parker if they're practically the same? They have the same powers, but Peter even has a symbiote. Well, Miles Morales has electricity, so it kind of worked out for its benefit. So good job. The writers fixed something that I have nitpicked for years on end, and they did a fantastic job. And I mean, come on, how do you get better than that? But finally, Peter gets to see his wrongdoings of how he treated MJ, how he treated people around him when he had the symbiote suit, and because of it, he tries to get rid of the symbiote, but Harry stops it because that's the one thing that's keeping him alive. And well, we get to play as freaking Venom for a while, and I know that this is gonna lead to a future spin-off game where we actually get Eddie Brock as Venom. So I know it's gonna lead to that, but man, we got a little preview in this one level where Venom just goes ballistic. You just destroy everything. You kill people at Oscorp, and it is just awesome. I love it. And because of it, because you are Venom now, we're moving past Kraven. Kraven is an afterthought now. You actually kill him off, and we move on to the Venom storyline. And they kind of do something like in Web of Shadows where there's symbiote everywhere and it takes over the world. But they do a fantastic job at it. Harry Osborn as Venom, which is something that should have happened in Spider-Man 3, does a great job. He even goes as far as to take over MJ and make her scream. So Scream is in this game. You get to fight her off. But Mary Jane does get away with it. There was a scene in the video game where Miles Morales goes into Peter's mind thanks to Mr. Negative. And at first I was just like, this is kind of random, but it makes sense in the long run because you get to find out that Peter still has some of the symbiote inside of him. And because of it, you get a white symbiote suited Spider-Man with Peter Parker, which now this time Peter Parker is in control, and that was really cool, and I really like that. And basically, you just continue on with the story, and then you get that final battle of Peter Parker, Miles Morales, and Venom. Man, I love that fight. But my favorite part of all of it was when they fight at high school because that's when it gets more personal and it just was a great culmination to the story and the video game. And they managed to do everything right. Like, example, we get to see Peter Parker finally have a life, which is something that people have been begging for. Peter's like, you know what, Miles, you're ready. I want to have my life. I want to spend time with MJ. I want to get a job. I want to do all this. And then the game ends with Miles Morales basically taking over as Spider-Man. But there is more to it. There's two post-credit scenes that you should know about. First of all, Harry Osborn is so furious like that Harry could die. He's just so angry, which basically tells you who we're getting the Green Goblin in the next video game. Let's not kid ourselves. That is the one villain that I've always said is the greatest Spider-Man villain of all time. And now we're finally gonna get him in the final chapter or the whatever they're gonna call it. Anyways, we get a post credit with Doc Ock who appears in this game at the very end, saying like, "Oh, I'm just writing the final chapter of my story," which I mean, this is gonna be a great way to cap off what is gonna go down as one of the greatest video game trilogies of all time. I'm being honest. And then we get a post credit scene showcasing a new character. So Miles and his friends are having dinner, and then they have a visitor coming in. And apparently it's Cindy Moon, who I believe appeared in Your Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man just briefly, but I guess now we're gonna get her in the video game. And I don't know really much about this character, but this is kind of reminding me of the fandom that Gwen Stacy had, the fandom that Miles Morales had, and now Cindy Moon. And I don't know much about her, but I'm excited and I'm invested. I'm very curious to see where this goes, and I'm definitely gonna be in tune with what the next video game brings us. And I have a lot of confidence because that first video game was phenomenal. One of the greatest video games I've ever played in my life. And then they come up with this and give us another classic game. Happy, like, this is amazing. No pun intended. You know what? Yeah, pun intended. Yeah, this is an A plus if you haven't figured it out. It is one of the greatest video game series ever. This game was so much better than the first one. It kind of fixed all the negative things that we had about the previous game. The only thing they haven't fixed was, of course, Peter Parker's face. But everything else was just top notch. I love it. We get to see different Spider-Man suits. We even get to see symbiote suits. I just think that this game is just chef's kiss, and I can't be happier. I'm so happy to be talking good about Spider-Man once again, And the next video is going to be no different because we will be talking about my favorite Spider-Man project ever. And that is the Spectacular Spider-Man. Take care, everybody, and I'll see you tomorrow with that video.